The short story I read is The Last Church by Graham McNeil. The Last Church is part of an anthology book known as the Tales of Heresy, and takes place in the overarching Warhammer 40k universe during an event known as the Unification Wars, when a godlike human entity known as the Emperor is uniting Terra, also known as Earth, in the year 25,000 CE in our universe. The story follows the leader of a church known as the Church of the Lightning Stone. The man is named Uriah Olathair, and it follows him during the last day of his church, the last church on Terra, as a man named Revelation approaches him to talk about why religion needs to be eradicated. I'm going to start by breaking down the overall story. So the story starts with Uriah sitting in the office of his church, awaiting the time for his congregation to meet. As he is waiting, he is thinking about how this might be the last meeting of his congregation, as he knows that eventually, most likely very soon, no matter what he does and no matter what he says as argument, the Emperor will come and the Emperor will destroy his church and eradicate his religion. As the time comes for his congregation to arrive, Uriah steps out into the foyer of his church, and waiting there isn't his congregation, but is a singular man. The man introduces himself to Uriah as Revelation, and says that he is an envoy of the Emperor. When Uriah asks Revelation why he has come, Revelation tells him that he has come to tell Uriah why religion must be eradicated and to convince Uriah to join the Emperor. Uriah invites Revelation into the office of his church and asks Revelation to begin. Revelation starts by stating that the main reason why the Emperor wants to eradicate religion is because of the actions religion has caused in the past. That religion has caused people to kill each other over different beliefs, citing things such as the human sacrifices done by the ancient Mayans, as well as the crusades performed by the Catholic Church. Uriah offers some counter-arguments, all of which are immediately waved off by Revelation and treated with nothing but Revelation telling Uriah that he is ignorant and that he cannot see the full picture. After arguing for a little while longer, Revelation asks Uriah to show him the Lightning Stone and to tell him the story of the founding of the church. Uriah takes Revelation to the Lightning Stone and tells him the founding story, where the founder, who was blind and deaf, was healed from his blindness and deafness when lightning struck a nearby stone to the founder, and the founder built the church around the stone and began teaching of the divine and the God behind his healing. Revelation approaches the lightning stone and places his hand upon it, explaining to Uriah that there is nothing divine about the stone, that it is nothing but a chunk of hematite, and that the healing of the founder of the church could be explained completely through science. Revelation then asks Uriah why Uriah himself joined the Church of the Lightning Stone, and Uriah tells Revelation of a story in his past that he doesn't like rethinking about, that Uriah, being, in his words, a dumb young man, joined a revolt against the Emperor that took place in a field known as Gaduare, and the battle was eventually known as the Killing Fields of Gaduare. When Uriah and his men reached the fields of Gaduare, they found the Emperor there with his super soldiers known as the Thunder Warriors, and the men that fought alongside Uriah were slaughtered by these super soldiers, and Uriah himself was injured. And while laying on the ground waiting for himself to be killed, Uriah found a large figure, bigger than any human, clad in gold with a halo-like aura behind his head standing above him. And the figure told Uriah, "Why do you deny me? I am the way and the truth." Uriah, seeing this figure, believed it to be a divine revelation that was brought to him, and began to worship this figure as a god, eventually finding and after time leading the Church of the Lightning Stone. After recounting this memory and being visibly upset of having to relive those memories, Uriah tells Revelation that their conversation is done and begins to lead Revelation outside of the church. Revelation agrees with Uriah, and as they reach the foyer, Revelation shows to Uriah his true form, that of the Emperor, a large figure bigger than any human, clad in gold, with a halo-like aura behind his head, the same figure that Uriah saw in Gajuare. Uriah is visibly upset and angry upon finding out that that figure was the Emperor, and the Emperor takes Uriah by the shoulder and leads him outside of the church, where Uriah sees that the Emperor has brought with him some of his Thunder Warriors. And as they step out of the church, Uriah and the Emperor watch as these Thunder Warriors set fire to the Church of the Lightning Stone. And as they are watching it burn, Uriah speaks to the Emperor and says, "You speak of violence and bloodshed, and yet the actions you perform are the same. What makes you any different from these religious people you speak of in the past?" And the Emperor turns to Uriah and says, "The difference is I know I am right." And Uriah, upon seeing nothing but hatred in the eyes of the Emperor, tells him that he may be right and he may have what is best for humanity in heart, but Uriah will not be there to see it. And Uriah turns from the Emperor and walks back into his church to burn with it. And the Emperor leaves him to die, telling his Thunder Warriors that they have a galaxy to conquer. The themes of The Last Church are disdain of religion and unacceptance. The Emperor despises religion and views it as almost a parasite to humanity, a hurdle that must be overcome for humanity to reach its full potential, and that it's something that must be destroyed, as well as the Emperor himself being a figure that is unwilling to not only accept but even hear out any other argument against him, and anyone who disagrees with him and refuses to join his side is killed. No matter what they stand for, if they are against him, they must die. The conflict of the story is man versus fate, as Uriah states at the beginning of the book that he knows that no matter what he says or does, the Emperor eventually will come and will destroy his church and end his religion. And at the end of the book, the Emperor does destroy his church and he does end his religion, therefore eradicating religion from Terra. For the critical response, I went with the reader response, and the two main points I took out of it were the hypocrisy of the Emperor, as well as, despite claiming to be a human, he does not understand humanity itself. To start off with the hypocrisy of the Emperor, Uriah himself points this out at the end of the book when they are watching the church burn, and Uriah asks the Emperor what makes him different from religion, and the Emperor says he knows he's right. The Emperor is doing the exact same actions as the religions that he claims is nothing but detrimental to humanity. He is killing others just because they have different beliefs from him, and if he views them as wrong, they die. The exact same thing that he claims religion has been doing in the past. The other main point that I got out of this is that the Emperor does not understand humanity. The first point is that despite claiming to know humanity, despite claiming to be a human himself, when the Emperor comes with arguments to Uriah, they're nothing but just fact. He never attempts to use emotion or connect to Uriah emotionally. Anytime Uriah brings up an argument that involves emotion, the Emperor just brushes it off and continues to bring his own facts into the argument, not even willing to listen to Uriah and his arguments. And anytime Uriah disagrees with the Emperor, if the Emperor does respond, it's with insult. He never attempts to argue with Uriah's points. He always brushes them off and calls Uriah things such as ignorant, or saying that he thought Uriah was smarter, but he sees that Uriah can't accept fact or see truth. And the final point, and probably the most important, is that in Gajuare, when the Emperor showed his true form to Uriah, the large, larger than human, towering figure in gold with a halo-like aura behind his head, he claims to Uriah that he, at the church, that he did that with the intention of proving to Uriah that the gods don't exist, and yet he is not only caught off guard but disappointed when he finds out that Uriah viewed that form as a god, despite the fact that the Emperor should have known that if he showed his true form to a human and told them something such as, "I am the way and the truth," which is, as he would know, a very religious line, that a human would view a figure like that, speaking like that, as divine, and yet he doesn't understand why Uriah views his true form as divine, despite him looking like a god. The main historical similarity in this book is that this book was written in 2009, and the company that runs Warhammer 40k is known as Games Workshop. They are a British company, and in 2009, that was around the main time when Europe was beginning to move away from religion, and many of the arguments that Revelation uses, such as religion is used by people for violence, or that religion, people use religion as an excuse to harm those that they disagree with, were some arguments that were used against religion in the late 2000s by many people. So seeing those arguments in the book definitely shows the time when the book was written. The book itself was written by a man named Graham McNeill. Graham McNeill began writing for Games Workshop in 2000. Before that, he was an architect who had written a couple science fiction books as well. Before he wrote The Last Church, he wrote many other books for Games Workshop in both Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Fantasy. And many of Graham McNeill's stories, despite taking place in a universe that is nothing but war, many of his books didn't focus on the war or the violence, but instead focused more on character building and fleshing out existing characters, like we see here in The Last Church, where the book focuses more on setting up the character of the Emperor, who, before this book was written, had never spoken. In an interview with some fans of Warhammer 40k, Graham McNeill said that he wrote The Last Church with the sole purpose of setting the emperor as a villain, that whether you agree with Uriah's arguments or the emperor's arguments, at the end you will acknowledge the fact that the emperor is not a good person and is an antagonist. In conclusion, the main themes of The Last Church are the disdain of religion and unacceptance. And the two main reader response that I got out of it was the hypocrisy of the emperor, as well as, despite him claiming to be a human, his lack of understanding of humanity itself. Thank you.